I'm holding on. Ladies and gentlemen, no, is it? Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, whoever else is here, please welcome back to the stage, Donna Andrews.
That once a year when you know how dangerous it was when women were wearing long skirts all the time, how more of them didn't kill themselves, I don't know. Okay, before we go on, has everyone been enjoying or is still enjoying their meal? Hey. Let's send our compliments to the chef, and these are some of the nicest servers we've ever seen. Thank you for all of them. And there's one more person. If you've been enjoying the meal or the organization or any aspect of this banquet, there's one person that we have to thank for making it all happen. And that is Marjorie Flax, MWA's Executive Director. None of us would be here without her. Thank you, Marjorie. And now I'd like to, we found Julia, our this year's Edgar's chair, and I would like to bring her back to the stage so she can thank her judges. Take it away, Julia.
Okay, I had no idea I was lost. Sorry, y'all. I guess I was too busy buying a beer or something. Hello, everyone. I promise not to take up too much time. Nominees, I have been in your seat, and I know that this night seems very long. I don't know what it feels like to win, but to the majority of you nominees who won't win, I want to remind you of this. For the rest of your life, you will be able to call yourself a finalist for the Edgar Award. Nobody can ever take that away from you. Yeah. Nobody can ever take that away from you, even if you don't get to bring home the cool statue, and it's a very cool statue someday. Okay, so as general chair, I think that's what I'm called, of the Edgar Awards, which sounds very fancy, I'm here to thank the people who made this all possible, the judges. If you judge this year's awards, please stand up. Yes. Okay, stay standing. Stay standing. Oh, I'm really short. Okay. For the entirety of 2022, these people, and many more who are not here, put aside all other reading and spent an entire year reading books, stories, or screenplays in their categories. Your books, your stories, your screenplays. They did this for zero pay, and aside from this moment, zero glory. So let's give them a little glory. Cheers to the judges. Okay, you can sit down now, if you haven't already. Why did they do this? Well, why did they give you and this organization their time and their free labor? They did it for a couple of reasons. One, because they love crime literature. I mean, free books are fun until they start overwhelming your entire apartment. But mostly they did this because they love this community. This big, beautiful, sometimes messy community has become to a lot of us like family. So now I'm addressing the nominees. I really am short. Especially first-time nominees. Welcome to the family. I hope, yes, welcome to the family. You will never not be part of our family. I hope that you'll consider judging, giving back what was given to you, because I assure you, you will be asked. Good luck, everybody. Have fun.
Yeah, three-time judge, probably going to be a repeat offender, but not this year. And now I'd like to welcome back to the stage our own inimitable president, Chris Grabenstein.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the 77th annual episode of everybody's all-time favorite mystery series, the Edgar Awards, or as my friend Tom Straw calls it, the Poe Prom. A special welcome to everybody joining us on Livestream, or with this group, it's probably a dead stream. I'm Chris Grabenstein, and I am beyond honored to be here tonight and to be your president. For me, this is a lot like coming home to a house filled with knives, pistols, daggers, ropes, and candlesticks. Okay, it's the house from Clue. You see, I started out writing a mystery series for adults, but now I mostly hang out in schoolyards saying, "Hey kid, want to read a mystery?" Yes, all of us who write for juveniles and young adults are just trying to get them hooked for what comes next, your books. The first one is free. Well, actually, it's $5.99 at the book fair, but you get the idea. Wow. So many great authors, editors, agents, and publishers gathered in one room. It reminds me of my first book sale. Actually, there's only one publisher in that room, and they sadly went out of business. But back in 2005, they published the first book in my Jersey Shore series, and after I signed the contract, a friend of mine asked me what I was going to do with all that money. And I said, I don't know, buy a candy bar? But you know, that's one of the great things about writing a mystery series. After the second book, you get a second candy bar. Is that still the official MWA motto, crime doesn't pay enough? Yeah. You know, I once asked my agent, one of my agents, Josh Getzler, what type of crime writing pays the best. He said ransom notes. And he gets 15%. This reminds me of a mystery writer I know. Poor lady came home to a burned down house. Her sobbing and slightly singed husband was standing outside. "What happened, honey?" she asked. "Oh, it was terrible," her husband told her. "I was cooking. The phone rang. It was your agent. Because I was on the phone, I didn't notice the stove was on fire. It went up in a flash. Everything is gone. I nearly didn't make it out of the house alive. Poor Fluffy is..." Wait, back up a minute, said the writer. My agent called? Okay, enough suspense. It's time for our first award. Here to present the Mary Higgins Clark Award is the author of A Cold and Lonely Place and Learning to Swim, which, by the way, is never ideal to do in a cold and lonely place, like, say, a frozen lake. Here is Anthony Agatha Silver Falchion, and yes, Mary Higgins Clark Award winner, Sarah Henry.
Wait, I feel like I'm in the spotlight. I literally can't see anyone. I am so happy to be here, looking at all these faces I cannot see because of the bright lights. And I was really honored to get to be the judge for this category. I like to think a lot of us remember reading our first Mary Higgins Clark book and that amazing feeling of woman in peril and suspense and just how great those books were. So I'm sure everyone's eager to move on here, so I'm going to remember to breathe and read the nominees. I will say this was, we had phenomenal books. We really had phenomenal books, and we read and we reread, and we ended up with just a list of 5 nominees that I encourage all of you to go read these amazing books. Because I Could Not Stop for Death by Amanda Flower, Pinguim Random House, Berkeley. The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentle. Sourcebooks, Poison Pen Press. The Disinvited Guest by Carol Goodman, HarperCollins, William Maurer. A Dreadful Splendor by B.H. Myers, HarperCollins, William Maurer. And Never Name the Dead by D.M. Rowell by Crooked Lane Books. And I really get to do this, like tear this envelope open, right? Sorry, it's really, really hard to tear. I guess I should have done this in advance. And the Simon & Schuster Mary Higgins Clark Award goes to A Dreadful Splendor by B.R. Myers.
Oh, God, Parrot, thank you. I'm such a nervous. Thank you so much. Hello. Wow, I am humbled and honored to receive this. Thank you so much to the MWA. It was so thrilling to be included with all of the wonderful nominees in this category. My name is on the book, but there are a lot of people who are behind making this book as good as it is. Sorry. To my editor, Julia Elliott, thank you so much. You are worth your weight in gold, my darling. To my Canadian editors, Iris Topholm and Julia McDowell. I'm sorry, my brain right now. I think I may have had a stroke coming up here. I can't feel my legs either. Also to Jill Marr, my fabulous agent. She found this book out of the slush pile. She is better than a fairy godmother. Thank you to my husband, Ken. I don't think he's read any of my books, but he does everything else to make sure that I can write, so thank you, my love. Thank you to all my friends and family watching on YouTube back in Nova Scotia. That's Canada. I don't know if they're watching or not, but I'll make them watch it tomorrow when I send them the link. And the most important person I have to thank is my mom. When I was 8 years old, I was sick from school, and that afternoon she let me lay on the couch and watch TV, and the local channel always showed an old movie, and that day that I was home, they were showing The Pit and the Pendulum with Vincent Price, and I learned that my mom that day was a big Vincent Price fan, and she passed along her love of mysteries to me, and I wrote this book for her. And that scene, you can watch it on YouTube after the show. The last 5 seconds of that movie just stayed with me. And it took me this long to write the book, because I was 8 years old at the time. It was a long time ago. So thank you again. That's wonderful. And if I wake up and find out this is a dream, I'll be really upset. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, you might want your envelope. Let's give her the envelope. That's a good souvenir. It makes a nice coaster at your house. N is for our next award. Tonight, the Sue Grafton Award will be presented by someone who's taken home the Sue Grafton Award herself, the author of the Cass Rain Chicago Mystery Series, not to be confused with the Chicago Mystery World Series, where the Cubs play the White Sox, which is really more of a fantasy novel. Please welcome the Anthony Seamus, Edgar McCavity, and Lefty Award finalist, Tracy Clark.
Okay, this is going to be short. Public speaking is not my thing, but I'm happy to be here nonetheless. This is a wonderful award, and I'm stepping in for the nominating committee, whose members couldn't be here tonight. It's kind of unfortunate that they do all the hard work and I get to do the fun bit, but here we are. The Sue Grafton Award is given to novels in a series, novels who feature female protagonists who are quirky and resourceful and fun and witty, just like Kinsey Milhone and also Sue Grafton, who sort of described her writing process as, she said she's the writer, and her job was to sort of fool people. The job of the reader was to sort of see if they could sort of catch her at it. So that's the sort of place that she sort of created this legend, this iconic character, Kinsey. And in the tradition of that, we have 5 nominees here who have done a bang-up job of sort of keeping in that tradition. And so this year, here are our nominees for the G.P. Putnam Sons Sue Grafton Memorial Award. First, Secret Lives by Mark DeCastric. Source Books, Poison Pin Press. An Unforgiving Place by Claire Kells, Crooked Lane Books. Hideout by Luisa Luna, Knopf Doubleday Publishing Group, Doubleday. Behind the Lie by Amelia Neymark, Crooked Lane Books. And Secrets Typed in Blood by Stephen Spotswood, Knife Doubleday Publishing, Doubleday. And the G.P. Putnam Sons Sue Grafton Memorial Award goes to Hideout, Louisa Luna.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi. Thank you. Hi. Thank you. Thank you to the Mystery Writers of America for this honor. Thanks to the 4 remarkable authors whose books were nominated along with mine for the gifts of their truly awesome protagonists. Thanks to the great Sue Grafton for crafting Kinsey Milhone and paving a well-lit path for all the female PIs that followed, including mine, Alice Vega. But there would be no Vega without my editor, Rob Bloom. I share this with him. His flawless instincts and invaluable advice made it possible for me to create this character and her stories. Also, he's currently freelance, so if anyone's looking for a real writer's editor who has no issues receiving texts from neurotic authors after 10 p.m., I have his number, so find me after. Thank you to the team at Doubleday and PRH for all of their hard work, for taking a chance on me and being the home for this series. None of the Vega books would have seen the light of day without the faith and sweat of my agent, Mark Falcon. I'm thrilled and honored to call him my agent and my friend. This book, Hideout, wouldn't exist were it not for my father. Before he died, I was fortunate enough to ask him if it was okay to turn his protagonist from his unpublished novel of 35 years ago into Alice Vega's latest missing person. And fortunately, he said yes. There would be no books of any kind written by me without the giving tree levels of support from my brother and mother, who are proud of me even when they have no good reason to be, and who always pick up when I call. And there would be no me at all without my husband, Josh, and daughter, Flory. They keep me going and put up with me and laugh at my jokes sometimes and tell me I should never, ever give this up, even though it would probably make all of our lives more pleasant. Their belief in me is all I will ever need. Although we do have what a Brooklyn broker would call a cozy apartment, not a lot of free shelf space. I'm thinking maybe this can go on the kitchen counter between the toaster and the Nespresso, maybe. I've been doing this a long time. I might not know what an NFT is or a thirst trap. I mean, I have an idea, but I'm not 100%. But I can tell a story, like all of us in this room, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I love this room.
So earlier tonight, I was at the bar, and this editor came up to me and said, "How many mystery writers does it take to change a light bulb?" And I said, "Screw you, I'm not changing anything." It's an editor joke. Our next presenter has been nominated for both the Edgar and Agatha Awards and has received a special mention for the Pushcart Prize, which has absolutely nothing to do with those big salty pretzels downstairs. She has a PhD in English from Case Western Reserve University. Please welcome the author of the Val Cameron series, Dr. Shelley Costa.
Hi, everyone. So this is the inaugural year for the Lillian Jackson Braun Memorial Award honoring the cozy mystery. In dark and unsettling times, the world of the cozy is a reliable go-to. Where else can we find the calming joys of small things like chocolate, first editions, and crime-solving cats? We long to become part of that quirky little beach town or faded mountain resort. The 5 books in our first cohort for the Lillian Jackson Braun Memorial Award show the warmth, intelligence, humor, and just plain terrific storytelling that's a hallmark of the cozy mystery. Congratulations to each of these nominees. The Shadow of Memory by Connie Berry, Crooked Lane Books. Buried in a Good Book by Tamara Berry, Source Books, Poisoned Pen Press. Smile Beach Murder by Alicia Bassett, Penguin Random House, Berkeley. Desert Getaway by Michael Kraft, Brash Books. The Marlowe Murder Club by Robert Thorogood, Source Books, Poisoned Pen Press. And the Lillian Jackson Braun Memorial Award goes to Buried in a Good Book, Tamara Berry.
Okay, this is going to be quick because I prepared nothing. First of all, I think we should thank Lillian Jackson Braun Estate for creating this award. I feel like cozy mysteries are often kind of the redheaded stepchild of the mystery world. Because they're so lighthearted and fun, they tend to get overlooked. But there's lots of murder, there's lots of mystery. I promise there's a dead body around every corner. I'm in incredible company tonight with all the other nominees. And I think that timing-wise, a lot of us wrote these books probably in the pandemic. And so the ability to come up with these lighthearted, community-centered stories in the middle of so much hardship, it's a true testament to who we are as writers, to be able to bring some joy and light to everybody's lives. So to all my fellow nominees, congratulations to you guys too. Thanks to my Source Books Poison Pen team, especially my editor, Rachel Gilmer, who isn't here tonight, but the rest of the team is. To my agent, Courtney Miller-Callahan, for always believing in me. And also to Essie Soga, who was my first editor at Kensington for Cozy Mysteries. when I first became a cozy mystery writer, I was just writing romances, and I submitted my first book as a romance, and she said, I don't have room for this, but if you can put a dead body and a cat in it, we can make this work. And we did. And also thanks to my husband, Travis, and my kiddo, Alex, who, if you've read this book, the character Gertrude is very much based on them. So thanks to everybody.
All right, our next presenter used to ride bareback broncs and bulls at rodeos, making him feel right at home on our New York City subways. He was also the clown in the barrel that gets gored, and that made him immune to bad reviews. From the Southwest chapter of MWA, please welcome the author of The Texas Rodeo Murder and No, the Bull Didn't Do It, George Wilhite. George has got a wrangle with Marjorie over there now, I reckon.
Sorry about that, technical difficulties. Me. The Robert L. Fish Award is given for the first short story by an American writer. And this year, if most of y'all probably know how that works, but when you judge the short story contest, this is a thing that also goes along with it. And this year, I know the rest of the judges and I, we graded all of those, I'm a teacher, so we graded them. We rated all of the short stories. Then went back and looked to see which ones were the Fisher Award. So they were rated just like every other one. And when it came out, the winner of the Robert L. Fish Award is Mark Harrison for Dogs in the Canyon.
Thank you, George. It's an honor to be here tonight. When I first wrote this story, my goal was just to get published. Didn't think that I would end up here, so big thank you to the Mystery Writers of America and to the estate of Robert L. Fish for sponsoring this award. Just a couple of thanks, one to my family for all their support, to my parents, my wife Emily, and our 3 children at home, Peter, Susanna, and Charlie. Go to bed, and especially to Janet Hutchings for seeing something in my story and for publishing it in Ellery Queen. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. You know, several MWA members are also college professors, which reminds me of another story I heard about a visitor to a college campus who paused to admire the new Hemingway Hall that had been built on campus. And he said, "It's wonderful to see a building named for Ernest Hemingway." Actually, said his guide, it's named for Bob Hemingway. Bob, no relation. The visitor was astonished. Was Bob Hemingway a writer also? Yes, indeed, said his guide. He wrote us a check. Our next presenter is a well-known financial journalist and acclaimed author of mysteries and thrillers, including his most recent novel, Crash. But what I've always admired most about his resume is he wrote for Mad Magazine. Please welcome our former Executive Vice President, Larry Light.
Hey, gang. So, this is the Ellery Queen Award. Now, you might know Ellery Queen as the crime-fighting duo from the 30s, 40s, 50s. You might know it as the great mystery magazine that comes out today. But this is an award named after the original Ellery Queen detectives that, and I will quote, is for outstanding writing teams and outstanding people in the mystery publishing industry. Now, that pretty much sums up Andrew Gooley and his life's work, The Strand magazine. Andrew, as you may know, is a walking compendium of mysteries. Ask him any question, and he knows the answer. So it's no accident that his bi-monthly periodical is so very important in our field. As managing editor, he's been churning it out and in fine style for 25 years. Andrew has these really good articles all the time about the mystery world and penetrating interviews with top authors like James Patterson, Lee Child, and Michael Connelly, who is one of our grandmasters tonight. Now, there was an original Strand that was out in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And this was in Great Britain. And its inaugural issue had some guy named Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote A Scandal in Bohemia. And one other fun fact, one of the original subscribers was none other than Queen Victoria herself. So fast forward to today and Andrew. What's really distinctive about Andrew Gooley is he is a detective in his own right. He has unearthed unpublished works by literary masters such as Dashiell Hammett, Joseph Heller, James M. Cain, Mark Twain, Tennessee Williams, H.G. Wells, on and on. And he does it by delving in stacks of books and archives and in universities and somebody's attic, and comes up with these gems. With the help of his sister Lemia Gooley, they're related, and she's wonderful, he has made The Strand a delight to read and to hold in your hands. And I will hold it up here for you. These covers are really great. I really love them. So here's to another 25 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Andrew Gooley.
Larry gave such a great intro that now I don't even know what to say. I think I'm going to throw my speech away. But I'd like to thank MWA for this wonderful honor. MWA has always felt like a community of friends, and I can count many of you in this audience who are great friends of mine and contributors to the magazine. The award belongs, how I can see it, not to myself, but to all the contributors, the advertisers, the publishers. There are so many people who have helped the award, so that by, if we were to be very fair about this, it would be cut into thousands of pieces and distributed to everybody who's been so helpful and so supportive. But I have no plans on doing that today. And I'd like to pay tribute to a lot of the people who have worked for the Strand and who have contributed so diligently to the Strand. Lemia is one of the world-class fiction editors. She has edited the works of Ernest Hemingway, John Steinbeck, James Thurber, Louisa May Alcott, and none of them have had any complaints. She's also edited the works of great writers who are in the audience today, such as Michael Connelly, Walter Mosley, and several other writers, such as Faye Kellerman. The list goes on and on and on. Also in the audience is our wonderful copy editor, Christian Lewis, and he is more than a copy editor. He's been a wonderful advisor and always will give his opinion, even if it means that sometimes he'll really piss me off. And that's what a great copy editor is. And also our great illustrator, Jeffrey McKeever, who can't make it tonight because he's kind of under the weather. And he is a wonderful, wonderful illustrator whose works, I think, belong in a museum. And awards also bring to mind the past. And two people who I'd like to remember today who are no longer with us are my parents, Julie and Fred. They passed away a long, long time ago. And I often feel their guiding hand during times of crisis and during some of the great times. They were inspirational figures to me. And they also were very useful into brainwashing me that for a teenager, the cool thing to do on a Friday night was to read a book. And also my two oldest brothers who got me into reading. My oldest brother bought a copy of the best short stories of Arthur Conan Doyle, and he called up and he said, "They have illustrations from the Strand magazine." So that always echoes in my head many, many times. And sometimes on a time where I'm working till 3 a.m., I'm saying, why did he ever buy me that damned book? And my other brother, who, when my dad was ill, he saw that I was kind of in a funk. So he said, you know what? I will take you to Borders bookstore every day if you read a book a day. So I was very crafty, and I would buy all these short novels. And that went on for 25 days, so he got more than he bargained for. And finally, magazines are in the midst of a renaissance. I feel that magazines are the new vinyl. We're living in an age where there's artificial intelligence, the instant gratification of Facebook. But it's so wonderful to see that our readers, and many younger readers, are engaging into something that's tangible. First off, because readers like to read, and they like to save money. And they can have more leftover money if they get a good recommendation on the latest book to read. And I'm so happy that the Strand has served that purpose for them. So the future is very, very bright. And if you've liked this past 25 years, I hope that you like the next 25 years. Thank you very much.
This is for you. No, not for me. No. All right, we're moving into what I call the Nevermore portion of our program, the Raven Awards. Here to present our first Raven, the best-selling and award-winning author of Secret Identity, which picked up 3-starred reviews, including one from Kirkus. Come on, let's be honest, that counts as 2. That counts as 2 regular stars. And by the way, I just found this out, Secret Identity just won the LA Times Book Prize for mystery. Yeah. For mystery/thriller, and I use that slash literally. Please welcome to the stage the multi-starred author of the Anthony Award-nominated Pete Fernandez Miami Mystery Series and all sorts of cool comic books, Alex Segura.
Good evening. So the Raven Award recognizes outstanding achievement in the mystery field outside of the realm of creative writing. I can't think of an organization that deserves this more than Crime Writers of Color. Crime Writers of Color is not a formal organization, even though I just called it one. There are no bylaws, there are no presiding officers, but it is vital to the publishing industry and the crime genre. A lot of times people talk about the things we should do as an industry, as a community. Very few people actually do the work. Crime Writers of Color does the work. Thank you to the co-founders, my bestie Kelly Garrett, Walter Mosley, Gigi Pandian, authors of color, voices that have long been marginalized, ignored, and forgotten now have a safe space, a place to call home, a network of support and friendship that we can have while navigating this business. Whether someone's a newbie author looking for an agent, a veteran author with 10 or 12 novels, or an internationally best-selling author, they have a home with Crime Writers of Color. It's created a thriving community to share ideas, advice, support, and hope. Hope for a future where the challenges won't be so sharp, a future where the industry will better reflect the world we live in, and a time where we can celebrate each other's successes as we would our own. It is my great privilege and honor to, not only as a presenter, though that is pretty cool in and of itself, but as a member of Crime Writers of Color, to present Crime Writers of Color with the MWA Raven Award.
I thought we had to share this, so I'm surprised.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you to MWA. This recognition was such a surprise when we learned about it earlier in the year because Crime Writers of Color has just turned 5 years old, and so it feels so new, but at the same time, I'm so impressed by and proud of what we have accomplished and grown into in just a few short years, and all of what our members have accomplished. It has grown into so much more than Kelly and Walter and I ever imagined. And this award is really for all of our members who've built something really special, such a wonderful, supportive community that Alex alluded to. And especially our volunteers. We have so many volunteers who really donate so much of their time and are really what makes the group thrive. And to be recognized by MWA and this wonderful mystery writers community that I love so much is so incredibly meaningful. And so I'd like to take just a minute to share briefly why it's especially meaningful to me personally. I began my mystery writing career just over a decade ago. And as wonderful as this whole mystery community was, I also was conscious of a gap. That same gap that I felt as a child when I was devouring mystery novels and finding so many absolutely fantastic books that I loved so much. But at the same time, I didn't see characters who looked like me and my multicultural family. And so Crime Writers of Color really is a group that helps fill that void. It's a group that creates the space for authors of color who are writing in the mystery field who haven't always found support to tell their stories. And before I get off this stage, I really need to say my final biggest thank you. And that is to the one person who is a tireless advocate and a cheerleader for everyone. A person who brings people together and really puts in the work. She is the daily heart and soul of the organization, and Crime Writers of Color would not exist as it is today without her. And I think you all know who I'm talking about, and that is Kelly Garrett. So.
I've cried. I was not going to cry, but here I am. All right. First of all, Alex, my bestie, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Gigi, I'm so glad to be up here with you. You know, you were the first person that I was a fan of to befriend me, and that friendship and that willingness to help me when I was just a baby writer was one of the reasons I knew that we needed to support a support group just for people of color. Thank you for being the best partner and the best good cop to my bad. I also need to thank Walter Mosley for not looking at me like I was some nut when I ran up to him at a panel because I heard through the grapevine he also wanted to start a group for Crime Writers of Color. Walter, I hope you know how much I value our friendship, and I really do listen to the advice you give me, even if you don't think I follow it. Thank you so much to the MWA board for giving us this honor. Trust me when I say we were not expecting it. And most importantly, I need to thank our more than 400 members, including 30+ volunteers, who all realize that a victory for one of us is a victory for all. Thank you for sharing your good news and giving advice, helping to create such a safe space. I'm a reader first and foremost, and I'm excited whenever a fellow writer of color contacts us about wanting to join the group, whether they are a huge name, a debut author, or just someone thinking of writing their first book. Our volunteers are the reason we have a website, a podcast, a YouTube page, a books page, conference liaisons, and much, much, much more. Thank you so much. This award is as much yours as it is me and Gigi's. However, I'm going to be keeping mine. I will not be sharing it with y'all. So this actually is not my first time at the Edgars. So I came right before my debut came out in 2017 as a guest of Joanne Love when she won her Raven Award. And Facebook memories actually reminded me that today, that was exactly 6 years ago. I was so excited, and I can remember walking into the room, and the first person I saw was a super famous, super successful white male author. And I looked at him really surprised, and he looked at me just as surprised. And that's when I realized I was one of a handful of black people in a room of hundreds of people. And I can remember it was me, Drew, Susan McNeil's husband, and a photographer. And I'm going to share something with you guys. I felt very uncomfortable that night. And I'm not the only person of color who's had that experience at crime fiction events. It can be hard to walk into a room where no one looks like you and makes no effort to welcome you. And it's one of the reasons why it was so important for me to co-found Crime Writers of Color. I didn't want to feel alone when I went into a room. But it's also really important to note that making sure the crime fiction community is a safe space and an inclusive space for everyone, no matter their gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or religion, isn't just my job. It's not just Gigi's job. It's not just the job of Crime Writers of Color or the Queer Crime Writers group. It's the job of everyone in here. And I get that everyone isn't like me, where you're gonna get on the stage in front of the most powerful people in the industry and basically yell at them. But there are some small things that we all can do. The easiest thing to do is to read books by marginalized authors, including people of color and LGBTQ authors. Next, share that you're reading those books. Recommend them in interviews and on your social media and other panels. Which leads me to the next one. Find out who else is on a panel when you get invited. Make sure it's not just straight, cisgendered white people. Recommend some marginalized authors who can also fit the panel theme. And if you are the one creating the panels, please stop forcing people of color and queer people to just be on diversity-focused panels. We can talk about more than just how hard it is to be marginalized. We can discuss culinary cozies, we can discuss creating characters, we can discuss the power of setting just as well as straight, cis white people can. If you are a bigger name and they ask you who should interview you for an event, again, give them a list of people of color, queer folks, and other marginalized people. You can find folks on both the Crime Writers of Color and Queer Crime websites. Trust me when I say it might make for a more fun conversation. And now we're gonna get to the not easy part. First, stop making excuses for problematic people and problematic behavior. We can all agree that things like sexual assault and the use of the N-word and the F-word are horrible, but we tend to downplay and ignore the smaller things, the microaggressions. Stop doing that. If a woman tells you that a man said demeaning things, don't tell her he's harmless, because he is not. If a queer person tells you a straight person's comment made them upset, don't say it was a joke, because it wasn't. If a person of color shares a white person called them the name of another person of color they look nothing alike, don't tell them it's not a big deal, because it is. I get a lot of times that you react like this because it makes you uncomfortable, but that's not a good excuse. Imagine how uncomfortable we feel. And finally, we all know the problematic people in crime fiction: the racist, the homophobic people, the misogynist, the folks who are anti-Semitic, the folks who are all four of those things. Realize you don't have to work with those people, even if you think it will help your career. Trust me when I say your career will be okay. There are other people who can blurb your book, other bookstores you can go to, other panels you can be on. And to the mob of people who are doing the things I mentioned, thank you. Please know I see you, and I appreciate that you know that there's things that are more important than selling copies of your book. And to those of you who are uncomfortable at this speech, I know these conversations can be scary. I'm scared myself right now. But trust me when I say that in the long run, our community will just be stronger when it's one where we all truly feel like we belong in this room. So thank you so much.
Our next Raven presenter is one of my favorite mystery book reviewers, and I'm not just saying that because I'm working on a new adult mystery. Or am I? I love reading her reviews in the South Florida Sun Sentinel, Publishers Weekly, Shelf Awareness, and wherever fine book reviews are published. A judge for the Los Angeles Times Book Prize in the mystery/thriller category, there's that slasher again, Olene Cogdill.
Hello. The setting is dark, probably smoky, and permanently in black and white. The characters are stylishly dressed, and they reek of sensuality, usually implied. Violence erupts frequently, and the ending, well, the ending. Nothing nice happens. But we can't turn away. We have to see what happens. Welcome to the world of Eddie Muller, our other Raven honoree. When it comes to vintage mysteries and film noir, and bear with me, this is a word I can never pronounce, but I love it, Eddie Muller has rightfully earned the title, the Czar of Noir, as several people have called him. As an author, Eddie has been nominated twice for an Edgar Award in the Best Critical Biographical, you know what I'm trying to say, work. And his novel, The Distance, won the Shamus for Best First Novel. He has twice been named San Francisco's Literary Laureate, a title most of us never knew happened. Eddie is the founder and president of the Film Noir Foundation, which has been instrumental in preserving the American noir heritage, including finding and restoring those lost classics. He also is co-programmer of the San Francisco Noir City Film Festival. Eddie's passion about film noir rings clear in the talks he gives at universities, organizations, and film festivals around the world, and the occasional DVD release, which still exists. Those of us who love old films, especially the dark ones, long ago discovered Turner Classic movies. But Eddie, he raised the stakes several hundred notches when he hosted Summer of Darkness during June and July of 2015. Now we have Noir Alley, the weekly movie feature on Saturday night. In Noir Alley, Eddie introduces us to old favorites, to movies we may have heard of but never seen, and to movies we've never heard of. He brings to life those old movies and shows us why they're important. Many of us also, tune in to listen to his very entertaining commentary. In fact, his comments are as entertaining, I think, as the movies he presents. Excuse me, that didn't happen before. He also, and this is the part I love, he also thoughtfully includes a cocktail to go with those movies. Noir Alley is a program we never knew we needed, but now we just can't get enough of. And here is Eddie.
As gratifying as it is to be the recipient of a Raven Award, it's frustrating to not be celebrating with you in person. You could say I was wounded in the line of duty. I contracted COVID after hosting the Turner Classic Movies Film Festival earlier this month, and I'm still testing positive. Damn it. I was really looking forward to renewing longtime friendships and celebrating the work of the other honorees and nominees. Best wishes and congratulations to all of you. It was always my ambition to be a novelist. In my teens, I'd considered a career as a comic book illustrator, and I left art school pondering life as a filmmaker. But I am, at heart, a writer, and novels to me are the singular test of a writer's mettle. Singular as in solitary. It's just you and hundreds of blank pages, a void waiting for the words to coalesce into a story. Well, I passed that test in 2002 with publication of The Distance, the first of what was to be a series of novels featuring sports writer and reluctant detective Billy Nichols, a character I based on my father. The book garnered some excellent reviews and a few genre-specific awards and nominations. Well, around the same time, I was invited to program and host a film festival based on my book Dark City, The Lost World of Film Noir. This turned out to be the crossroads in my life. The Distance won a Shamus Award from the Private Eye Writers of America for Best First Novel, while Dark City and a follow-up, The Art of Noir, were nominated for Edgar Awards as Best Critical Biographical Work. When I produced the inaugural Noir City Film Festival in San Francisco in 2003, my very self-centered intention was to use the publicity to sell more novels. But just as Dark City was taking off, my publisher, Scribner's & Son, pulled the plug on Billy Nichols. The novel didn't sell well enough to merit continuation beyond a second installment in 2003 called Shadowboxer. I was ignominiously informed of this cancellation at the annual BoucherCon convention, where The Distance was nominated for Best First Novel. Well, you know the old adage, when one door closes, another opens. Frustration over losing my book deal soon turned to frustration over not being able to find good prints of lesser-known films for the increasingly popular Noir City festivals, which led me to create in 2005 the Film Noir Foundation, a nonprofit outfit that rescues and restores missing noir films. At that time, I'd written about 100 pages of a third Billy Nichols novel. 19 years later, I've got about 175 pages. Billy has struggled to emerge from limbo because my life got rerouted onto another track, a network of noir festivals around the country, dozens of award-winning film restorations, a quarterly noir-centric magazine, more nonfiction books, my own publishing imprint, and for the past 6 years, a gig hosting Noir Alley on Turner Classic Movies. So my first impression upon learning I'd received a Raven Award was to appreciate the irony of it being for contributions to the genre outside the realm of creative writing. Talk about a plot twist. Wanting to follow in the tradition of writers like Hammett, Chandler, and Highsmith is what put me on this course, but more than 20 years later, it's my work with the Film Noir Foundation and TCM that has earned me this official and prestigious recognition. Frankly, I could not be more grateful. If those early novels had been hits, who knows? I might have spent the last 20 years at home writing fiction in isolation, which would have been great, but would it be as fulfilling as being a film detective, or as I like to say, a noircheologist, traveling the world to resurrect missing movies, acting as a lightning rod for passionate fans of the genre, and inspiring a new generation to appreciate old movies? Hell no. This whole deal may have begun as a fluke, but now it's a mission, and I'm thrilled to share it with so many dedicated and talented colleagues in a collaborative, not a solitary endeavor. My plan B couldn't have worked out any better, mainly thanks to the loyal support and generosity of noir fans worldwide. And if there are any editors out there interested in reading those 175 pages of a third Billy Nichols novel, these days I'm pretty easy to find. Thanks again to the MWA for this wonderful honor, and congratulations to all of this year's Edgar nominees. If you don't win, don't worry. I missed out twice, and things turned out fine. The secret is to do what you're passionate about and never quit. Thanks so much for this wonderful honor, and cheers.
I think it's time for our first actual Edgar Award here. Those little guys over there, they're all like nodding off. All right, Edward Zuckerman has won 2 Edgars and an Emmy for his work on Law and Order. Dun, dun, dun. He's also written for Blue Buds. Do they have a sound effect, like a heart beating or something? Anyhow, who better to present the Edgar Award for Best Television Episode? Edward Zuckerman.
Well, it was a pleasure to read the many nominees we had in this category, and it was a very tight race. You'll see in a minute that we actually have 6, not 5 finalists, because there was a tie along the way. Also interesting for me to see that the entries came from a wide variety of outlets. At least 2 came from the broadcast television networks. Does anyone remember those? Yeah, one other thing distinguishing this group of nominees, unlike all the others, is that the writers who are nominated tonight, we all belong to a labor union. As a result of that, and those of you who are not in a union may want to brace yourselves, not fall out of your chairs, we get things like health insurance and a pension plan. It also means that as of Monday, we may be on strike. We don't know yet. Negotiations are going down to the wire, as they always do. The main issue is that the studios, which earn billions of dollars in profits every year, as they tell their shareholders, tell us that they're broke. 2 of our nominees who are here tonight are actually British writers who have flown over, and we're very happy to have them here. The Great Britain Writers Guild has vowed support for our strike, if it happens, and vowed not to take work from that would otherwise go to American writers. You 2, are you guys with us, where you are? Okay, good. I'll take that as a yes. Okay, the nominees are episode 1, Mighty and Strong, from the show Under the Banner of Heaven, written by Brandon Boyce. Episode 1 of The Magpie Murders, written by Anthony Horowitz. Episode 1, same title, of Karen Perry, written by Emer Kenny. The episode titled When Harry Met Fergus, of the show Harry Wild, written by David Logan. An episode of Blue Bloods called The Reagan Way, written by Siobhan Byrne O'Connor. And an episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit called 18 Wheels of Predator, written by Brianna Yellen, Kathy Doby, and Monet Hurst Mendoza. And the Edgar goes to Anthony Horowitz. Who is coming up right now. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm in shock. I just want to thank 3 amazing women who were behind Magpie Murders. The first was Leslie Manville, who came in the show very early, and when you've got her as your lead actress, it doesn't matter what you write, it's going to be great on the screen. You could give her a bag of letters out of Scrabble, and she'd still make them fantastic. The second woman is my wife, Jill Green, who was also the producer of the show. And I want to thank her for telling me that the first draft was terrible. The second draft was worse. The third draft was you're fired. The fourth draft was you're hired again. And the fifth draft was why didn't you listen to me in the first place? Amazing woman. And the third woman behind this is Suzanne Simpson, who's with me here tonight from Masterpiece Theatre, who makes some of the greatest drama for American television. There's one thing an English writer like me fears, and that's notes from across the Atlantic. They're always going to screw your head. But her notes were always spot on, wonderful, and so positive and so helpful. She should really be here standing with me to accept this. But thank you very much. What a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Is that it? Oh, now we're getting into my crowd, the Edgar Award for Best Juvenile, not to be confused with the Edgar for Best Juvenile Delinquent, an award that has been retired since 1955, when James Dean took it home for Rebel Without a Cause. Here to present our next Edgar is the co-author with James Patterson of the new middle grade mystery, Minerva Keene's Detective Club, the author of 11 different novels under 3 different names, Keir Graff, if that is the name you are using tonight.
Thank you. And to any writers who are dreaming of standing on the stage and holding one of these, there is a shortcut. Chair a committee. So, I actually wrote this down. So I believe it's customary to say something about how many books you read and how long it took and how the postal carrier is now getting chiropractic treatment. But I want to say instead that I just want to let you in on a secret, and that is judging the juvenile category, or kids' books as I prefer to call them, is really the best job there is. Our books take less time to read. They sometimes have pictures. From time to time, we get to relieve the pressure of judging by enjoying a fart joke, which isn't to say they aren't excellently crafted mysteries that respect the intelligence of their readers, even readers like me, whose development was arrested in the 5th grade. And as somebody who writes for adults as well as for kids, I can't tell you how frustrated it makes me when somebody says, and I've heard this a number of times, oh, you write kids' books, those are much easier. Well, they aren't. The best ones aren't. The best writers for young readers pack as much plot, character, craft into their books as anyone, and they have fewer pages in which to do it. And we have some of the very best writers for young readers with us tonight. I have to say that when all our votes were tallied, it was remarkably clear that these 5 books were our top 5. And these authors are all winners. So, the nominees for Best Juvenile: The Swallowtail Legacy, Wreck at Ada's Reef by Michael D. Bile. The Area 51 Files by Julie Buxbaum. Oh, I should be reading the publishers. Random House Children's Books, Delacorte Press. Eggie Morton Mystery Queen, The Seaside Corpse by Martha Jocelyn, Penguin Random House Canada, Tundra Books. Adventures on Trains, Murder on the Safari Star by M.G. Leonard and Sam Sedgman, Macmillan Children's Publishing, Fivewell and Friends. And Chester Keane Cracks the Code by Kekla Magoon, Random House Children's Books, Wendy Lamb Books. And the Edgar goes to Eggie Morton, Mystery Queen, The Seaside Corpse by Martha Jocelyn.
Wow. Thank you very much. Wow. Hello. Thank you, Mystery Writers of America, and congratulations to my fellow nominees who are all absolutely deserving of this as well. Thank you to Tara Walker of Tundra Books in Toronto for sharing a moment of inspiration with me in imagining Agatha Christie as a 12-year-old poet and girl detective. She manages to stumble across 4 corpses in the course of the Eggie Morton Mystery Queen Quartet, alongside her Belgian best friend, Hector Perot. Thank you also to Lynn Misson, my editor, and Margot Blanquier and Sarah Howden, her backup, as well as Evan Monday, my publicist, my steadfast agent, Ethan Ellenberg.
the magnificent illustrator, Isabel Folath, who has created a wonderful gallery of highly suspicious characters at the front of the book. The audiobook is narrated by Sarah English, and thank you mostly to Agatha Christie herself, who of course is responsible for every one of us sitting in this room tonight. Thank you.
All right, I don't know if our next presenter will sing the nominees, but she could. She's performed in operas and musical theater productions across Chicagoland and is, of course, an award-winning New York Times best-selling author of wacky mysteries like the Glee Club series and not-so-wacky YA thrillers such as the Testing Trilogy. She also has one of the best names of any author I know. It should be on a bottle of wine, Joelle Charbonneau.
Well, hello there. I am incredibly honored today to be here for the young adult category as a young adult author myself, especially this year, because as you know, book bans are on the rise. And there is no category of books out there right now that is withstanding the onslaught of book bans like young adult. Young adult represents a lot of difficult topics at times. It discusses issues like life and death, somebody's identity. Sometimes there's sexual assault. It embraces diversity, different cultures, and allows our readers to really look at different ways to go about the world. Young adult is a very important category, especially because when students get to read a book that reflects them, that they see their experience for sometimes the very first time, they realize that no matter how hard things are, they are not alone. So I would like to thank the publishers, especially here tonight, for sending us your amazing slate of young adult authors to be able to judge, and for championing young adult books in this time, especially now when students need us to have their backs more and more. I also would love to thank the nominees because your books were thrilling and so entertaining and showed the best of mysteries, even as they showed the very best of what young adult has to offer. And with that in mind, the nominees for the Best Young Adult category are Pretty Dead Queens by Alexa Dunn, Frightmares by Eva V. Gibson, The Black Girls Left Standing by Juliana Goodman, The Red Palace by June Herr, and Lock the Doors by Vincent Ralph. And the Best Young Adult Edgar goes to The Red Palace by June Herr. There she is. Congratulations. Watch out, he can do damage.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I was so certain I wouldn't win. I don't know why I'm crying. I want to thank everyone at the Mystery Writers of America for nominating me 3 times in a row. And for really welcoming me today, even when I came. It really moved me to see a book about a Korean girl winning an award like this. I think with every book that I've written, it's really struck me, especially after getting published, that it takes a village to create a book. And I wanted to thank my editor, Emily Settle. This book idea wouldn't even exist without you, with that one comment you left on my book published previous to the Red Palace. I'm always going to mention that because it just amazes me how where inspiration can come from, and this book came from you and Korean history. And I want to thank everyone at the Firewall and Friends team for championing my book and supporting it 3 books in. And I want to thank my agent for opening this door for me, for being my rock in the publishing industry, which can be a bit of a whirlwind and uncertain, but you have always been there for me, and I'm so grateful for you. I want to thank my family, especially my in-laws. I wouldn't be able to write at all if they didn't babysit, so thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Tung. Thank you to all my friends who have been there for me while I was trying to get published for 10 years. You never looked down on me. You always encouraged me, and it's meant the world to me. Thank you to my husband. I'm here today because he told me to come. I'm a hermit writer, so I like staying at home, but he was like, you might win, you should go. And so I came. And and thank you to my parents. I wouldn't be an author at all. I wouldn't be writing at all if you hadn't told me to pursue what I love, and that is writing. So thank you, everyone, for, I'm babbling now. Thank you for this award. It means so much to me. Thank you.
Ellery Queen's Mystery Magazine described our next presenter as one of the most versatile writers in the mystery field, and they weren't talking about yoga or Pilates. He's a playwright whose dramatic work has been produced from Calgary to Portland to the Folksbiene Yiddish Theater. His play Panic won the 2008 Edgar Award. He's also the editor of Blood Relations, the selected letters of Ellery Queen, not to mention the author of short stories that have appeared in 2 MWA anthologies and all the major mystery magazines. I give you a true Renaissance mystery man, Joseph Goodrich.
Good evening. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you, MWA. "1841 saw the publication of the mystery genre's foundational text, The Murders in the Rue Morgue. Its author was a young firebrand who, more often than not, signed his work Edgar A. Poe. Rue Morgue and 2 other tales of ratiocination have been so influential, we often forget that Poe was one of the leading literary critics of his time, a passionate, highly opinionated, sometimes vicious critic. The authors of this year's critical biographical nominees are just as passionate as Poe, but, thank heavens, far less vitriolic. Theirs are works of appreciation, not condemnation. Their books deepen and enliven our understanding of their subjects. Each of them is a welcome addition to the critical biographical field. On behalf of my fellow judges, I'd like to congratulate their authors on their marvelous achievements and present one of them with a statuette of the genre's patron saint, that master of mystery and imagination, that literary critic, Mr. Edgar A. Poe. The nominations for this year's Best Critical Biographical Award are The Life of Crime, Detecting the History of Mysteries and Their Creators by Martin Edwards, HarperCollins, Collins Crime Club. The Bloomsbury Handbook to Agatha Christie by Mary Anna Evans and J.C. Bernthal, Bloomsbury Academic. The Crime World of Michael Connelly, a study of his work and their adaptations by David Guerin, published by McFarland. The Woman Beyond the Attic, the V.C. Andrews story by Andrew Niederman, Simon & Schuster Gallery Books. and Agatha Christie, An Elusive Woman by Lucy Worsley, Pegasus Books, Pegasus Crime. And the award for Best Critical Biographical award goes to The Life of Crime, Detecting the Histories of Mysteries and Their Creators by Martin Edwards. Mr. Edwards, come on up. There we go. Congratulations, Martin.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you. Wow. Well, first of all, the nominees, as Joseph has said, wrote some terrific books, and I hope you will read them all. They're really marvelous. Thanks, of course, to the Mystery Writers of America, and of course to the judges who do such great work. Thanks to my publishers, HarperCollins, for showing faith in this rather large book, The Life of Crime. And it's rather large because it attempts to tell the story of the history of crime fiction from the start, right up until now, and across the world. And it tells the story through the prism of the lives of 50-odd writers, and the ups and downs of their lives and the work that they produced. And the life of crime writers has always fascinated me since I was a young boy. And I always wanted to be a full-time crime writer, really until I met full-time crime writers. They told me what it was really like. But I've almost achieved that ambition now, after many, many years of trying. And it is a subject that fascinates me. I did wonder during the years I was writing this book whether it was a brave and courageous project or simply a very, very foolish one. And tonight I realise it's actually just a very lucky one. Thank you very much.
Our next presenter is the Edgar Award-winning author of the New York Times bestseller, Manhunt, the 12-day chase for Lincoln's killer. He also serves on the advisory board of the Ford's Theater Society, so it should come as no surprise that he was born on the same day as Abraham Lincoln. Not the same year, but you know. I give you the old infinitive splitter, Honest James L. Swanson.
Well, first, I apologize to the nominees. I was not one of the judges. They're all afraid to face you in person tonight. But I do have their locations to let you know where they are tonight if you want to take this up with them. So, the genres tonight are very different. Like novelists, nonfiction crime writers immerse their readers in thrilling, dangerous, and violent worlds of kidnapping, conspiracy, theft, fraud, forgery, death, terrorism, murder, and assassination. But unlike novelists, true crime authors must practice their art with one arm tied behind their backs. That's because true crime writers can't make it up. They're bound by the facts. In comparison, fiction writers have no limits. Their creativity is limitless as their imagination. After you read a terrifying crime novel, you're not in danger. You can climb into bed and turn out the lights knowing that Hannibal Lecter will not call on you tonight because he's not real. In true crime, the characters are real. They walk in our world, and random fate might decide that one day you might encounter one of them in real life. That's why true crime books haunt us so much, and that's why certainly Capote's In Cold Blood and Vincent Bugliosi's Helter Skelter, two great true crime books, are among the most frightening books of the 20th century, because someday it could happen to you, to us. Tonight's nominees for Best Fact Crime have all mastered the ability to dramatize with the novelist's skill what really happened, and to convince us the truth is stranger and more frightening than fiction. So the nominees are Slender Man Online Obsession, Mental Illness, and the Violent Crime of Two Midwestern Girls by Kathleen Hale, Grove Atlantic, Grove Press. Tell Me Everything, the story of a private investigation by Erica Krauss, Flatiron Books. Trailed, One Woman's Quest to Solve the Shenandoah Murders by Catherine Miles, Hachette Book Group, Workman Publishing, Algonquin Books. American Caliph, the true story of a Muslim mystic, a Hollywood epic, and the 1977 siege of Washington, D.C. Shahan Mufti, Farrar Strice, and Giroux. And last, American Demon, Elliot Ness and the Hunt for America's Jack the Ripper by Daniel Stashower, Minotaur Books. And so, the Edgar goes to Erica Krauss. Tell Me Everything, the story of a private investigation. Congratulations, Erica.
So much. I'm
Good.
overwhelmed. Oh my God. My head is full of bees and alcohol. Thank you so much. This is very much of a shock. I really came here today because I wanted to be in a room full of people who thought about murder all of the time. That's why I flew here. There are so many people to thank, particularly Mystery Writers of America, because my book is not about murder. It's, sorry, I'm a little nervous. It's about my experience as a rookie private investigator investigating the first ever Title IX sexual assault. So this award feels particularly amazing in that it feels like an act of advocacy for women's safety. And just to be nominated with these incredible nominees that I met tonight and a little bit before, so I'm incredibly honored. There are other people to thank as well. My book had a very difficult birth, and I want to thank both my colleagues and the leadership at Lighthouse Writers Workshop for helping me not only write the book, but also defend it when it was under attack. There are other advocates here today. Thank you to all the people at Flatiron, my editor, Carolyn Blakey, who's amazing, brilliant, some say genius, I say genius. Also Claire McLaughlin, who also genius publicity person. My agent, Mary Evans, I've been with her since 1999, so since I was like 2. And she believed in this book from the first word, so I don't know if it would exist without her. Have I covered everybody? Last and most, my family, my chosen family. You're the reason I do everything, and I'm so grateful to all of you today and all the nominees. Thank you for doing your wonderful, important work, and I'm going to stop talking. Thank you.
Recipe for a bestseller. Choose an atmospheric location for your kitchen that will complement the setting of your bestseller. Mix flour, water, and yeast into a firm ball and let it sit for a couple hours until it expands. Add cinnamon, cloves, garlic, vinegar, and powdered sugar to give your dough a variety of flavors. Mix thoroughly and shape the dough ball into a long, pretzel-like strip with many bumps and twists. Optional ingredients: add jalapenos for every sex scene, catnip or dog food for a cozier taste, a pinch of bitters for every burned-out detective, a shot of espresso for every shootout, 2 no-dose pills if you've mistakenly added extended backstory. Bake until your editor says it's done. Cover in a well-designed and appropriate flavored frosting, and enjoy.
Have a banana, Hannah. Try the salami, Tommy. Give it the gravy, Davy. Everybody eats when they come to my house. Try a tomato plate too. Here's cacciatore, Dory. Taste the bologna, Tony. Everybody eats when they come to my house. I fix your favorite dishes, hoping this good food fills ya. Work my hands to the bone in the kitchen alone. You better eat if it kills ya. Pass me a pancake, mandrake. Having a derby-irby. Looking the fendel mendel. Everybody eats when they come to my house. Everybody eats when they come to my house.
Might be a good time to eat some of the desserts on your table there. They're delicious. And now, here to present the Grand Master Award to Joanne Fluke is my good friend and our Executive Vice President, Donna Andrews.
Hi there, and I know they picked me because I also write cozy. And may I say, as one of the people who's writing from the softer side of mysteries, I'm really glad to see us honoring someone like Joanne. I mean, I know she's a slacker. She's only written about 30 books in her series and 50 books in her career, but she's still going. So thank you, Joanne, for all the Hannah Swenson and other books, and keep going. And she's not here to accept the award, but she has recorded a video for us, right? Here we go.
Hi, everybody. We are cutting this little segment in at the beginning because there are 2 very important people that I didn't get the chance to thank. Okay, one is Vita Engström. Thank you, Vita. And the other is my marvelous editor, John Sconamelio. Every writer should have an editor like John Sconamelio, but you can't have him. He's mine. Hi, everybody. I wish I were with you tonight. I'd like to thank everybody who's here, and especially, of course, the Mystery Writers of America for this wonderful Edgar Award. Gee, Michael Connolly, he got one too, and a Grandmaster, and I would just love to be there and meet you. Wonder what would happen if Hannah ever met Harry Bosch. Oh well, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, there are people I have to thank. Number 1, I have to thank Steve Zacharias and his son, Adam Zacharias. Jackie Denis and Lynn Cuddy for all the help they've given me with the Hannah books. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to thank Robin Cook, who I couldn't get along without Robin. She corrects everything for me and makes sure the manuscripts are perfect before they go to the printers. Ackerman, who have been so helpful, and I know they've really helped me to sell the Hannah books. And let's see, who else do I have? I've got a cheat sheet here, guys. Let's see. Ooh, my agent. I'm sorry, Meg. Yeah, it's Meg Bruley at Jane Rotrosen Agency, and I'd like to thank you for all the work you've done on my behalf. Who else? Here we go. I'm trying to read my cheat sheet here. Oh my gosh. I would love to thank my cover artist. His name is Hiro Kimura, and he draws a sketch of the title recipe. And when he is through, he hands it over to Lou M. Lou, I can't pronounce your last name. I'm sorry, I don't want to get it wrong. But Lou works at Kensington. He's another artist, and he designs all the covers. They are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Tammy Chase, who helps with the website, and Kathy Allan. Kathy has tested every single recipe in this book, and I'll tell you true, if it doesn't work for Kathy exactly as it's written, it does not go in the book. So she is the final test. Let's see, who haven't I? I'd like to thank all the Hannah fans. And thank you for supporting me all these years. This is great. As a matter of fact, I'd like to thank everybody I've ever met in my entire life or corresponded with. Cheers.
Los Angeles is a wonderful place to live. I think it might be a better place to write about.
He loved the city most at night. The night hid many of the sorrows. It silenced the city, yet brought deep undercurrents to the surface. It was in the dark slipstream that he believed he moved most freely, behind the cover of shadows. Like a rider in a limousine, he looked out, but no one looked in. There was a random feel to the dark. The quirkiness of chance played out in the blue neon night. So many ways to live and to die.
I've been really lucky that I've had a succession of detectives that are willing to help me, and in helping me, it's much more than, this is how we do it, or this is the procedure, or this is the science, or whatever. All that stuff's important, but it's window dressing on character.
Pull over up here. Counselor? Eddie, we had a deal. Either pay me or go with a public defender.
Another $5 grand?
10.
Oh. Ain't you gonna count it?
Just did.
And we talked to a lot of actors, and Titus was making a movie, and we didn't get together with him for a few months. And then when we did, it all kind of clicked right away. He came in and, he did a part from the script, but what was more important is he sat with us and talked about what his take was on this character of Harry Bosch and what motivates him and what's inside him. And that was the moment. This is all new to me, but I was told someone will come in and you'll just know it, and that was the moment.
For the record, please state your full name and rank.
Hieronymus Bosch, Detective 3, LAPD Hollywood Division. So I don't believe there's a better world than this one. Don't walk away.
Jesus Christ, Harry! My job is to, for lack of a better word, sell Harry Bosch to the reader. They got to believe in Harry Bosch.
Who's that?
It's my daughter. Hey, Maddie.
I'm all for you being in our lives, but not if it's Harry, the fun-loving dad, and me, the disciplinarian mom.
First time I've ever been accused of being fun-loving. There are cops who work on cases, and cases who work on cops.
I've been trying to get hold of you.
Who is this?
I know who killed your mother.
And, Harry Bosch is my guy.
I'm Detective Bosch, LAPD Hollywood Division. This is the work I do.
Well, he's a classic kind of lonely hero archetype, which, in the vein of Philip Marlowe. And
right.
There's a simplicity to a character when he has such a strong moral code. Like, we all want to be more like that. I think as men, we all want to be a little bit like Harry Bosch.
Our next Grandmaster has created so many memorable characters. We needed 2 very memorable characters to make this presentation. New York Times bestselling and Edgar-nominated authors Allan Burke and Michael Corita.
One of us is shyer than the other one. It is our honor tonight and such a pleasure to celebrate our friend, mentor, and giant of the crime fiction genre, Michael Connelly. With more than 40 best-selling, award-winning novels spanning a career across 4 decades and over 80 million books sold, Mike has immersed readers in a complete and compelling world, Michael Connelly's Los Angeles as only he can depict it. Harry Bosch, Mickey Haller, Renee Ballard, Jack McAvoy, everyone counts. Writing with the reporter's eye that earned him a spot on the shortlist for a Pulitzer Prize, he has become the gold standard for contemporary crime fiction.
There's so many people I want to thank. My great-grandmother got her first library card. No, we want to thank one person. Michael Connelly is writer of superhuman talent, superhuman work ethic, and superhuman decency. Humility and success are not always partners. This guy makes it look as if they are. He makes it seem effortless. There are so many people in this room who have benefited from him, and he never wants to talk about himself, so I know he kind of hates what this is going to make him do tonight. But Mike, truly, from the bottom of our hearts here, thank you for all that you've done, and congratulations.
Well, the good news is I hired a speechwriter for this. The bad news is she starts tomorrow. But so on the way down here, I asked GBT to write a speech for me, but it got my wife's name wrong, so I'm not going to go down that road. But I'll try to make this brief so we can get to the final awards and maybe get to the bar. Thanks to the Mystery Writers of America. Thank you to Michael and Allan. It's kind of amazing to be here. I actually don't know what to say. A long time ago, I was watching an award program, and a writer won, and all he said was, "I want to thank anyone who's ever kissed me or punched me." And I thought that was the best speech a writer could give, because, you know, metaphorically and realistically, you learn and take from the people who kiss you and punch you. And I'm lucky that I've been kissed more than I've been punched. And I've had just a very amazing path through our genre and our business. And so I got to thank some people. There's too many people to thank, but I've found over the years that, you know, if you surround yourself with the right people, someone earlier said it takes a village. With me, it probably took like a Greyhound bus, like maybe 38 seats. And then you stay on the bus with those people. I mean, I've only been at one publisher my whole career, 2 editors who have worked as a team, Michael and Asha, and, you know, 37. Thanks for giving me credit for 40 books, but 37 for 37 times. I've sent a manuscript into the maw of publishing, and they've come out better, and you just can't beat that. And you know, I've had one agent, Philip Spitzer, one manager, Heather Rizzo, one person who's taking care of, who is way ahead of me on the curve of electronic and technology, takes care of all my social media, Jane Davis. They've just been with me for decades, and it's all been to my benefit, so I have to thank them. I've only had one French translator, and he flew here from Paris to be here tonight, and that's amazing. I fired him once, but it didn't get translated, and he's still working with me for some reason.
But last but not least, my wife, we've all been in this position. We want to be writers. We got to figure out how to do it. We start as readers, and it takes some time, more time for some of us than others. And right now, it's probably not a bad time to be my wife. But 40 years ago, when I had this idea about being a writer, my wife Linda she took on that dream that I did, and it was a long time. A couple of unpublished books, and many years went by before I was actually holding a published, a finished book. But she was with me all the time, so we share this, and just want to say thank you to the Mystery Writers of America again, and the people who put me up for this. It's an amazing honor, and I cherish it. Thank you.
All right, our next presenter grew up in Quebec. She now lives in Connecticut, where when she's not writing, she studies martial arts and dance. Not sure if she does those two things at the same time, but be careful on that dance floor later, folks. The author of the Shayna Merchant series, whose short stories have won the Writer's Digest Popular Fiction Awards, please welcome Tessa Wegert.
Hello. So, writers of short crime fiction know that it takes an immense amount of effort to wrangle a compelling plot into such a small package while still telling a really engaging story. Last year, the Short Story Committee read 476 stories by writers who did just that, and 5 of them were so compelling that we are here to honor them tonight. So congratulations to all of tonight's nominees, and I would like to thank our tremendous committee chair, Persia Walker, for managing all of those submissions. Tonight's nominees for Best Short Story are Red Flag, Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine by Gregory Fallis. Backstory, Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine by Charles John Harper. Locked In, Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine by William Burton McCormick. The Amnesty Box, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms by Tim McLaughlin. First You Dream, Then You Die, Black as the Night by Donna Moore. And the Edgar goes to Red Flag by Gregory Fallis, Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine. Is Gregory Fallis here tonight? Oh, okay. Oh.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Greg Fallis couldn't be here tonight, but he did write a little something that he asked me to read for him. Let me begin by apologizing for not being here to accept this award. Shortly after learning I'd been nominated, my partner injured her back, and we were uncertain if she'd be able to travel comfortably. And since it seemed improbable to me that I'd actually win, I reluctantly declined the invitation to attend this evening's dinner. I'm not saying that if I'd known I'd won, I'd completely abandoned Ginger and flown to Manhattan, but there's a good chance I'd be standing here in front of you right now, and poor Ginger would be at home eating popcorn and painkillers and watching it all on YouTube. I'm deeply honored to have been nominated and completely gobsmacked to have won. I want to thank Linda Landrigan and everybody at Alfred Hitchcock's Mystery Magazine. They've been incredibly kind and supportive of me. They published my very first short story and several stories afterwards. You have to love a magazine that gives so much support to new writers. That said, I have to confess that I have mixed emotions about my story. It's about a young man who, having survived a mass murder event in California, returns to his childhood home in Lansing, Michigan, hoping to live a quiet, uneventful life. However, he finds himself drawn into a family situation that seems likely to lead to another mass murder. Because Michigan lacks a red flag law enforcement is unable to act. The protagonist, entirely without any social support, must cobble together a plan to try and stop the potential tragedy. The day after I learned I'd been nominated for this award, there was a mass murder in a Lansing high school. 4 dead, 7 wounded, lots of people, his parents, school officials, other students were aware of the shooter's emotional problems. They knew he made vague threats about a mass murder. They knew he had access to a firearm. A red flag law would have allowed the police to remove that firearm, which might have prevented the tragedy. I can't think of my story without also thinking of that mass murder. But that's my concern, and your concern is to eat and drink and have a good time. I wish I were there with you, but in the end, in the wisdom of that immortal Jersey City poet, Cool, who along with his gang encouraged us all to celebrate and have a good time. Thank you.
Laura Lippman is one of the most acclaimed novelists in America today and has greatly expanded the boundaries of mystery fiction and psychological suspense with her Tess Monahan PI series, not to mention her New York Times best-selling standalone novels. She's won multiple awards, including the Anthony, the Edgar, the Seamus, and the Agatha Award. Everyone agrees she might have a future in this business. Please welcome to the stage Laura Lippman.
I've been lucky enough to attend the Edgar banquet in a lot of capacities, as a nominee, as a board member, as a judge, as the MWO president. I came tonight as a friend. I just wanted to be here to support Michael Connelly and Kelly Garrett. 25 years ago, I walked into a banquet room. I don't think I knew anybody. And that's changed a lot, and I hope for everyone who's a first-timer, it changes. And now to the nominees for Best Paperback Original. Quarry's Blood by Max Helen Collins, Hard Case Crime. On a Quiet Street by Serafina Nova Glass, Harlequin Trade Publishing, Graydon House. Or Else, Joe Hart, Amazon Publishing, Thomas & Mercer. Cleopatra's Dagger by Carol Lawrence, Amazon Publishing, Thomas & Mercer. A Familiar Stranger by A.R. Torrey, Amazon Publishing, Thomas & Mercer. And the Edgar for the Best Paperback Original goes to Joe Hart for Or Else. I know that Joe can't be with us tonight, but I think his editor is coming to accept it, or someone. Thank you.
I'm not Joe Hart. I'm Gracie Doyle. I'm the associate publisher at Amazon Publishing. I have a few words from Joe. I was very honored to be nominated in the first place amongst so many other wonderful books and talented authors, and I wanted nothing more than to be there with all of you tonight to celebrate. So to win is just incredible. I want to thank my family, who I couldn't have written this or any of my other books without. Thank you to the Mystery Writers of America for all the work they do for authors and the genre. Thank you to my publisher, Thomas & Mercer, for believing in the book to begin with. Thanks to my editor, Liz Pearsons, for being so encouraging and insightful. And thanks to my agent, Laura Rennert, for her unwavering support. I'm beyond thrilled for this honor. It really means a lot. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
They say you never forget your first novel. I know that my friend James Patterson never forgets that he won this next Edgar Award way back in 1977 for his first book, the first of 50 bajillion, by the way. Here to present this year's best first novel is an author who spent 29 years behind bars, in prison, because he worked there as an associate warden, hostage negotiator, and director of parole, James L'Etoile.
Good evening. Life has a way of bringing you memorable firsts, your first love, your first kiss, your first prison riot. They all make you cry. But for a writer in the mystery world, a debut novel is a really memorable occasion. And our judges poured through over 100 submissions, and this debut class, the quality was amazing. The future of the mystery world is in good hands. So with that, the nominees for Best First Novel by American Author are Jackal by Aaron E. Adams, Penguin Random House, Bantam. Don't Know Tough by Eli Craner, Soho Press, Soho Crime. Shudder by Ramona Emerson, Soho Press, Soho Crime. More Than You'll Ever Know by Katie Gutierrez, HarperCollins, William Morrow. And Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee, Penguin House, Random House, Tiny Reparations Books. And the Edgar goes to Don't Know Tough by Eli Craner.
Thank you all. Yeah, thanks, Mystery Writers of America. Thanks, everybody. I didn't write a speech because I'm crazy superstitious, and like I told myself if I wrote a speech, then like it would never even get off the ground. So here I am, speechless. And yeah, like the very first person it has to be is Peter Lovesey. So those of you who don't know, like Don't Know Tough was rejected by like over 200 agents. Like wrote this draft in 2016, and it was a long, long road. And then out of nowhere, Peter Lovesey, who had a wonderful speech that I watched for his Grandmaster thing, and I should have studied it, but I didn't. But I just stuck to my superstition. And what it was Peter was having like his 50th anniversary, and he got in through a contest. And anyway, they were going to have a gala. Soho was going to have a gala, and he said no. Like let's have a first novel contest. And so all the love and all the respect and everything I can to Peter for doing that, because that was my into the door. And then Soho, like they dug it out. I don't know how many, I think there was like 300 something submissions, 300 manuscripts. And they have just been everything. For a dude in Arkansas who's never been to New York City, and who has always, like since I started writing seriously, who really wanted to come. I always wanted a reason, to come. Like once I started writing, I said, I want to go there, for a book or something like this. So it's a wonderful reason to be here. And my mom, who I know is watching, if she can figure out the live stream, I gotta say, I've said it a lot, but I read out loud to her as I'm drafting. And so every night when I finish, like the words for the day, I read that out loud to her. And so, Mom, if you're watching, there's not a lot of people who would listen to a first draft, as it's being made over and over again. And then David Hale Smith, my agent, man, thanks so much, brother, for coming back around for another take. Yeah. And then the last person I got to thank is my wifey, Mallory, who is here with me, who has also never been to New York. And she's a small town girl, and she's not a big plane person. She's not a big small space person. And she has worked her little booty off just to get here, like just so she could come, and get her mind right. So, baby, thank you so much.
All right, we have reached our final award presentation, the Edgar for Best Novel. This is our Best Picture of the year. Fortunately, neither Moonlight nor La La Land is nominated this year. Here to make the presentation is an author who writes more of a why-done-it than a who-done-it, because the why in stories is always her favorite part, Jamie Mason.
Oh, this is fun. Last year was an incredible education for our panel of judges, but it was also a rare privilege to get an opportunity to appreciate the full spectrum of what our corner of the book world has to offer. And the seven of us can now say with great authority and no small amount of pride, there is something for everyone out there. And so our group brought to this endeavor 320 years of avid readership, over 141 years of our own writing experience, and just north of 419 years of just living as feeling and thinking human beings here on planet Earth who crave narrative. And those trove of expertise informed our tastes and our expectations for the over 500 novels that we had to consider. And through an incredible amount of talent and voice, 6 of these managed to rise to the top and become our nominees for the 2023 Edgar for the Best Novel. And the nominees are Devil House by John Darnielle, Farrar, Straus and Giroux, MCD, Like a Sister by Kelly Garrett, Hachette Book Group, Little Brown and Company, Mulholland Books. Gangland by Chuck Hogan, Hachette Book Group, Grand Central Publishing. The Devil Takes You Home by Gabino Iglesias, Hachette Book Group, Little Brown and Company, Mulholland Books. Notes on an Execution by Daniel Kukafka, HarperCollins, William Morrow. And The Maid by Nita Prose, Penguin Random House, Ballantine Books. And I get to be the last one who says it. And the Edgar goes to Notes on an Execution, Daniel Kukafka.
Okay, my whole body's shaking. Wow, hi. Oh my God, thank you so much. This is such a dream. Thank you, of course, to the Mystery Writers of America and the wonderful coordinators and judges of these awards. This novel was dedicated to my agent, Dana Murphy, who is here in the audience, because her creative collaboration was often the only thing that kept me going through writing it. I'm so grateful for my editor, Jessica Williams, and for Julia Elliott, and the whole team at William Morrow. Wow, thank you very much to my parents, and the rest of my family watching tonight. I also wanted to thank my grandmother, who can't be here today, Doris Kukofka. My first novel was dedicated to her, and I so wish she could have seen this. She was the most avid reader, especially of crime fiction. To my husband, Liam, and my sweet little dog, Remy, who took lots of very important naps while I was writing this book. So one of the questions the nominees were all asked at our roundtable discussion was about the state of crime fiction today. And I did a lot of thinking about this question as I was writing this novel and in the days since it came out, about why we write crime fiction, where the genre is going, and why crime fiction matters, most importantly. I don't believe that the best crime fiction is even really about crime or about violence or even whodunit. I believe it's about empathy, about expanding our minds and the minds of our readers, about asking questions rather than answering them. And I look around at this room, at the talent here, all my colleagues and peers, and I do think that we're pushing something new. I do think that we're asking readers to think more and to feel more and to question more than we ever have before. I believe that crime fiction is so much more than a genre. It's social change in its most enjoyable form. I believe it's vital and it's necessary. And I think we're proving today that it really does have its own heartbeat. So here's to a good mystery, which I believe can make us better and wiser and more thoughtful than ever before. And here's to the future of crime fiction and to the writers who keep pushing us all. Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Congratulations to all the nominees, all the winners. That's a wrap. This award-giving series will continue next year on May 1st, which is a Wednesday instead of the usual Thursday. Also, the book tables are going to be set up at where the main cocktail reception was, to the right when you exit. And winners, please come over here to the holding area for a group Edgar picture. Thank you very much. See you next year.